Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motorcast with your host Dave, and I got online special guest Wesley Jones, outlaw pro mod driver. Welcome to the show, Wesley.
Hey man, how are you today?
Pretty good. So last year, Wesley, how'd you do with the pro mod?
We ended up finishing sixth last year in PDRA for the year, and turned out pretty good. Had some pretty nice runs through the course of the year. Won Maryland, which was really nice. The first time I'd won a race, and had some good, showings over the years. But the first race we'd won was in Maryland, and then, like I said, they finished the year. We ended up with sixth place in points for the year. Didn't hurt anything. Didn't do anything bad. We took the last couple of races. We took off. We didn't go to the last three races, I think. But it all turned out pretty good. Car's doing good, running good.
So
we went and did a little testing the other day down in Bradenton at their snowbird race to try to get ready for this year coming up. So,
how'd the car run for the testing?
I've been doing a little research trying to pick up my 60-foot times, and we didn't find a whole lot on what I was looking for there, but we ended up running a 358 at 2:15:41. The mile an hour showed the motor work that we've been doing for, over the winter and different stuff to find some more horsepower. So that worked out really well. And then the ET looks really good. I've still got to find a little bit on 60-foot. I'm missing a few numbers there for some reason, but we're going to find them and should have the car running back down in, the mid to low 350s on, regularly instead of the upper 50s.
So last year, how many events total did you run?
I ran half of them last year. I think I ran 4 last year. 4 or 5. We ran through August last year. This coming in, and that's the first time we've taken any time off in the past 4 years of PDRA being in business. We've run every race they've ran, except for when I wrecked the car that year, and I had to take the last half that year off. But every other time we've been there for every race that they've had. So took a little time off, did a little regrouping. It's a lot of traveling when you're running that circuit all the time, and gather up a few more parts, getting ready to try to make a good run at it this year. I think we're going to have a really good chance and maybe even run for a championship this year, see if we can't do some good.
That sounds good. So, Wesley, tell us a little bit about the car. What kind of car is it? What kind of engine you got in there and all that?
All right. Well, this is a 1941 Willis. It was built back in 2002 by Tommy Mooney. It was originally built for Mike Ashley in New York. The car, ran NHRA for a while back then, or IHRA, and then got sold to some outlaw guys down in Florida. I think Joe Baker and Ari's owned it down there for a while. Then it got shipped up to Canada, and I got to looking for a car and found that car and figured it'd be a pretty light car to do what I wanted to do with. And so I drove up to Canada, picked it up, and brought it back to the South. The car was, like I said, originally built by Tommy Mooney. It's, I've had some updates on the car. We've been to Bickle's shop with it a couple times and put new 4-lane brackets under it, new rear end housing, stiffen up the back of the car. The screw-blown car makes a pretty good, considerable more horsepower than a Roots car, so we had to stiffen the car up a little bit in different places. But Bickle's up there in Missouri has done that for me a couple times as we saw little things that we need to fix. The car was working real well. We, like I said, I wrecked it back in Rockingham that year. Took it to Joey Martin. We put a brand new body on the car. He's fixed the front end where it hit the wall. Everything else is in good shape. Put some new struts on it and some new brakes, a new body, and new paint job on it. And we got it all back together. Robbie Grant did the airbrush work on the car, and it's all paint. There's not a wrap on it anywhere. And it's a pretty phenomenal job from, 660 concepts, did the design work on it whenever I decided to change the paint scheme around a little bit. And Ian did a really good job on that. But it runs a 526 cubic inch Brad Anderson Hemi. It's got a PSI screw blower on it. We figure it makes somewhere around 4,000 horsepower. You know, what everybody kind of figures. I don't know many people that's dynoed their screw blown motors lately. But the ETs and times, that's comparable to where it should be making horsepower at. Sent it through a Neil Chance converter, through a Linko drive, a 2-speed Linko drive in it. Got a greenhouse. I got a strange, not strange. Got a Tom's differential in it right now. I've had a strange in there also, but and then they got some nice Hoosier tires that hook it to the ground. Hoosier does a phenomenal job with the tires and help us out a lot. So it's just run straight VP M1 fuel through it, and none of the M5 or anything, and seems to do pretty good.
Now with the paint job, are you like a big Batman fan or something?
Well, I never was before, but I've become more and more of a fan. Really, when I bought the car, it was like, well, it's got a neat paint job on it. I was more interested in the car and the chassis than I was the paint job on it. But it's amazing to find out how many people are Batman fans. And I enjoy the movies, and I watched them as I was growing up, so I'm fine with it. But it's a lot of fun to go to the track, and you got little kids and grown-ups, and everybody relates to it really well. And that's a lot of fun. You sign a lot of autographs. Everybody wants to, stand beside it and have their picture made, and it's nice that the car's got a lot of bright, vibrant colors on it. We tried to stay with the 1940 theme Batman. You can go into the newer style stuff, but the Batman and all the movies, everything's so dark, so it's hard to make a paint job really pop when it's just black. So that's been a lot of fun. So the Batman theme I've become more and more popular with. I've become more and more of a fan of it, and it's just a really neat car when it's all put together.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. So when did you originally get into drag racing? What year?
I began racing. My father raced when I was the kid growing up, so I've always been around racing. I probably started like a lot of people in high school, and I did street racing, which it's not the greatest thing in the world to do, but that's what I was out there doing. And I bracket raced for a little while here locally, but I started pro mod racing somewhere around 2000. I bought my first car and decided to do some type of heads up pro mod style racing. Was around 2000. So I had a 68 Camaro with a big block Chevrolet with a 1471 blower on it.
So you always had blower pro mods?
Yeah, that's all I've ever had. Pro mod car has always been blown. I've driven a guy's pickup truck that had nitrous on it one time, and that's been about it. I've never driven a turbo car. I think it'd be pretty interesting to do, but all my pro mod cars have been blower cars.
Yeah, no naturally aspirated cars.
The only naturally aspirated stuff when I was bracket racing, my dragster I had was naturally aspirated. It was a little small block, and it was a lot of fun. But you could go round and round and round with it. You could almost hot lap it. It was kind of. Sometimes I wish I was still doing that.
So you're a big blown alcohol guy.
Yeah, that's you seem to be able to make pretty easy horsepower and go fast with them pretty easy. Now I think everybody has the concept that a screw blown pro mod is expensive to run, and I do it on a pretty conservative budget. I mean, I know the parts are expensive, and I know I got a toter home and a trailer, and I've got a car. I mean, I bought a secondhand car that I gave roughly $40,000 for. I bought a secondhand motor when I first got into it, and because I teamed with Jason Scruggs, but I bought a motor from him, and I bought a brand new transmission, brand new converter, put it all together. I probably didn't have I probably had a little over $100,000 tied up in the car altogether when I first had it all together. You go out and I went racing, and the first year I ended up going 361, with it at about 206 or 7 miles an hour. So it's hard for me when people understand. I see the expense part of it. The day-to-day maintenance and things like that, we don't go through a lot of parts. Go through blower belts. That's about our biggest expense, and tires and fuel. But you maintain the car pretty good. I mean, I race on about $50,000 a year budget for going to the races, entry fee, fuel, and car parts. It's pretty conservative when it gets down to it, but I don't try to lean on my motor and blow it up and stuff too much. It's just try to be smart about what we're doing, and I think you can do it without breaking the bank. I hear about some of these nitrous cars and the motors and the turbo cars and the expense of what they are, and it makes me question why more people aren't running screw blowers.
So now, Wesley, besides your dad being an inspiration to you to start drag racing, were any other drivers out there that were inspirational?
I have to say that as far as when I was first started getting into the pro mod racing, I mean, you can't back away from Jason Scruggs and what he's done and what he did back in the 90s and the late 90s with a small block car and how fast he was running with it. That it didn't grab you and look at it and go, "Hey, this is pretty impressive to watch this guy run and tune a car." And him and Mitchell they're great people in general. But as years progressed, and Jason would allow me to talk to him off and on through the years and get information to help me with my car or something totally different, but he's always willing to help you, I don't know a bunch of the other people out there as far as personally knowing, inspirational wise about looking up to them and saying, "Hey, that was what my goal to be." And but I do know, like, going through the years and Jason and Mitchell, and as we progressed into more and more, and they let me go work with them and crew with them on a car as time progressed. They've been really good mentors, and that's probably some of my bigger inspirations, come out of them sometimes. We've got a good friendship between us and Bubba Stanton, and, it's just the camaraderie of everything that we have and the friendship that we have when we go to the races. That's probably the biggest influence I think has been on me, is just having that influence of friendship.
So now, with the Pro Mod you're driving now, what's the fastest run time you've had with it?
My car, the fastest I've been with it, period, ET wise, I went 3:55 in Rockingham, and that's a year and a half ago. That was right before I crashed the car. That was my quickest ET I've ever been. The fastest mile an hour I've been with it, I went 2:15.41, and that was just this past when we went to Bradenton just last month. And I have a goal for the car to run to mid to lower 350s. I feel comfortable that the car can get back there and do that. And I think if we get to doing it consistently, I think this year I should be able to get the car to run probably 217, maybe even 218 if everything goes good. So, and that's pretty impressive for an old Willis body that everybody says is a flying brick.
Now, do you only run 8th mile, or you do quarter mile racing too?
All I've ever done is 8th mile racing as far as pro mod racing. And I don't have any objection to quarter mile racing. It's just the racing that's been close and local that we've done has always been 8 mile.
Now, how many crew members do you have for the Pro Mod?
I have 2 guys that'll go and travel with me, and one, Randall Vaden, he lives in northern Alabama. He goes and travels with me and works, and then I have Jonathan Frederick out of Newton, Mississippi. His father, they own a machine shop there, and he goes and he's an engineer, and he goes and travels with me, and he does motor work, and him and Randall turn the car around between rounds, and I get to have time to look at the computer and try to figure out what to do next. Here at home, I do most all the work myself. Every once in a while, I'll have somebody help me set a transmission in or out, but everything else is pretty much a one-man show here at the shop.
Now, do you have any sponsors for the car?
No. I own an electrical contracting business, and well, I take that back. Let me rephrase that. I do have a couple of sponsors. Moroso helps me. Manley helps me. And I have Mahali for Cleveland bearings. They give me, I have a racer deal with them, and I get sponsorship through them. Hoosier Tire, they help us out some. On a, as we need tires, they give us a little break on them every once in a while. But that's it. As far as sponsors go, they do help. I have Shannon Davis with Davis Technologies, a profiler. I run his profiler in my car. It runs everything in my cars. It runs the car timing system, the fuel system, transmission. It shifts the car. It does the traction control that we use. It performs it, and pretty flawless little operations of it every time we have it on and running. And then I out of pocket the rest of the expenses on my car.
Okay. Now, is your dad still around?
No, my father passed away about 25 years ago. So he hadn't had the opportunities to see what I've done. Hopefully he's up in heaven looking down and keeping a close eye on me. I hope somebody's riding with me every once in a while. All of what we do is definitely a blessing from God, and God, we got to give Him the glory for everything that we do.
And you only had one accident in your career, right?
I'm sorry?
You only had one accident in your career so far?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I had an axle break one time a long time ago, but it was nothing major. The only major accident I've had is that one in Rockingham. And I'll tell you, that was pretty much driver era. People, we look back at it and people go, well, the track looked wet. No, the track wasn't wet. That's just the way they look sometimes. But there was a couple things I look back on that day and go, what happened? How did it happen? And I just ran a career best ET, and we were qualifying, and the driver made several errors on the run as the car left and shook. And right then, when qualifying, I should have known. I should have just got out of it. I wasn't going to go any faster. And I didn't. I pedaled the car, got back in it, and we're going down a racetrack. And the car stayed, it shook over a little closer to the wall, and it was kind of loose going down the racetrack, and having to drive it around a little bit. And I'm thinking in my head, do I drive into my parachutes or do I just let the car coast out? Well, I made the decision to just kind of get out of the gas, let the car coast out, settle down a little bit before I pulled the chutes. And that was a major mistake. I should have drove into my chutes, and it would have helped keep the car straight, Because as soon as I lifted out of the throttle on that pass, the car, the front end weighted down, and when the front end weighted, the tires, the wheel was probably cut just enough that it upset the rear end and brought the rear end around on the car. And thank goodness Mike Ricci that I was running that blew the motor up and he wasn't right there beside me when I came across the track. Normally we'd been pretty close side by side. And going into the wall, I mean, I saw the wall come and realized this was really just to happen. And so I reached up and killed the car and then got the parachutes. If I give anybody any advice, use parachutes first. Get your chutes out quick. That help a lot of things, you know. And I learned from that lesson. It's a pretty expensive lesson to learn from, but you know, your parachutes are your friend. That's for sure.
Yeah, Mike Rishi had a great year last year.
Mike's an awesome guy. Him and Little Mike, they did a really good job. They won the championship. They were very consistent at every race that they went to. They were methodical about, you know, making the passes that they needed to make, saving parts when they needed to save parts, and not out racing what they knew they could do, you know. And like I say, they were game on when it come to making laps and making rounds. So, and the Thomas from and my buddies from over in Sweden, they were great guys. Mateus and Thomas and Pedal, they gave everybody a eye-opening run for the money. So I think they did a really good job too.
Yeah, Rishi comes from down here in my neck of the woods in Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he used to run with a group out here we got called the Chicago Wise Guys.
Yeah, he set a new record for y'all last year too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
He won a lot of won a lot of the championships with the Wise Guys too.
Yeah, y'all don't let that go to his head.
Yeah.
Mike's a good guy. We have a lot of fun and enjoyment at the racetrack with him. They're good to hang out with. Man, they're just great guys. They brought a little. They built a trailer to drag behind the golf cart, which is kind of fun. They hop on there and take a ride around the pits with them. It's always an entertaining day.
Now, have you ever been to Route 66 in Illinois for the Super Bowl yet?
I'm sorry, one more time?
I said, have you ever been to Route 66 in Joliet, Illinois yet?
I have not. I hear it's a pretty nice place, though, but I have never been up there.
Yeah, you know how they have that big Super Bowl event with all the pro mods and all that?
Yeah, I didn't know what. Yeah, I remember seeing something about it, but I know I've never been there. We're going to start doing the one thing for this coming year that, you know, besides the PDRA is a great place to race. You know, the atmosphere is great, and I've been really staying hard with it because it allows me to race a couple times a month and still run my business and not get too far out there sometimes. But I think in some of this year and probably going into 2019, we're going to start getting out and doing a couple of different races in different places and try to stretch out a little more. Maybe go do some of we'll do the Midwest. I'm not real sure about the rules on that, but we're going to do some more outlaw races out toward Texas and try to get up and do anywhere they let us run our screw blower and not give us too many rules. I think we're going to try to go do.
So for the pro mod you're driving now, what was it like getting behind the wheel for the first time in that thing?
You're going to have to ask me that one more time. I have a hard time understanding you.
I said for the car you're driving right now, how was it getting behind the wheel for the first time?
Sit back. Don't sit so
the wheelless is a little different. It's when I first put the car together, I'd been out of a race car for quite a while. I got a friend of mine, Stan Allen. He used to drive a Pro Nitrous car. He drove it for the first couple races while we were lining the car out, making sure everything was going to work right and straight. And I had, because it'd been a year and a half since I had driven a car, and I'd never been in a car as fast as what this car was going to be. Prior to getting this car here, the fastest I'd ever been was I went 399 with the Camaro one time, and that's the fastest I'd ever been with it, 190 miles an hour or something. So I tried to be smart to not just jump in a car and say, let's go racing, you know. I let Stan drove it for several months there, and we went to several ADRL races back then. Got the car lined out, and then I got back in the car after that. I was tuning the car all the time, but I got back in the car after that and started making some laps, and got myself familiar with it. The Willis is a little different because you sit back in the car. It's got a small windshield, and the car is tapered at the doors, so the windshield gets narrow, and you kind of sit in the car at a little bit of an angle the way the chassis is built because the car narrows up so much in the front. And when you first get in it, you're looking at it going, you're trying to figure out where straight is to make sure that you're going to go straight down the racetrack. And once you figure out where that's at, it's not a bad ride. You get in it, you get lined up good, and everybody takes good care of you that's on the outside of the car. Get on the trans brake and two-step, and when the lights come down, let it go. And it's most of the time you're having nice, good passes. There for a couple of years, I had a lot of times where I'd carry the front end past half track, and yeah, that's not really good because you can't really drive very well when the front end's in there. And we got all that settled out, but it's a fun ride. It's a lot of fun to turn loose on, and it's just you got to realize where you're at in the car and sitting back, and and it's like any car. After you make one or two laps in it, you kind of get comfortable with it and know what's going on. But it's a lot of it's probably one of the most enjoyable race cars I've ever had.
So now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on?
Well, I used to would tell you Rockingham, but I'm not going to say that anymore. I crashed there. Maryland's been fun. Indy was a nice place to go run. I've never been there. It was a nice racetrack. The Galat racetrack is just phenomenal, but probably between Galat and Richmond, the Virginia racetrack, it's always fast there. You got good air. Your sea level. Bradenton is an awesome racetrack. The people there, their prep on the track is just unbelievable. We've never been there and the track not be killer. So that's a nice place to go. But I would probably say one of my favorite places is probably either Virginia or Galat.
Now, Wesley, when you get ready for a weekend of drag racing, what goes in the prep for the car? You talking about from leaving home or just at the racetrack? Getting ready at home. How do you prepare?
The first thing we had to do, we had to get some groceries together and tote her home. Get ready take some food with us. Get that loaded up. Get the car ready here at the shop. I'll put bearings in the car. Go through the transmission, change filter in it, make sure there's no pieces broke there, check your rear ends, look the car over for broke welds or anything. Clean it up. It's amazing. Just the cars are what they are, but they get oil on them. They get, they just, even if you keep them as clean as you can, they still get something on them somewhere. So wipe them down good, check the chassis out, make sure there's nothing broke on it. Check the headers. Headers are, notorious about breaking sometimes. Go through, put bearings in the motor, and if it's time to freshen the motor, we have to pull it down, put rods and rings or valve springs on it and stuff like that. Get it all together, and we leave out on Wednesday to go to the races. It's most of the races that I go to are I think about 10 to 12 hours away. So I'll leave out on Wednesday about noontime, headed to the races. Get the car loaded up, get the groceries in the truck, get drinks for water and Gatorade and stuff in the truck to take with us. Head out on Wednesday, travel all night to get to wherever we're going. I try to be wherever I'm going by midnight, 1 o'clock at the latest. We'll park outside the gates, go to sleep, wait for the gates to open in the morning, get in, get parked, get the awning put up on the rig, get the car out, get all of our tools out, set camp up. And on the PDRA races, we test on Thursday, so we try to do all that early and get ready to go make some test laps get the car fired up, warmed up, check everything out. And we'll get ready to start making test laps on Thursday, and try to get some idea tuned in to where we make some nice qualifying rounds on Friday. You know, the maintenance on the car between rounds is not too terribly hard unless you break something. We come back, we run automatic transmission, so put transmission cooler on and cool the transmission down. Pull valve covers on the motor, check valve lash, make sure we don't have any broke valve springs, no lifters give us any trouble. Fill the car back up with fuel, let it cool, let the motor cool. Just every once, like I say, about every 3 passes, I'll get 3 passes on a blower belt, and we'll put a new blower belt on the 4th pass. And so, I mean, put it all back together, put some new spark plugs in it, and go back up and make another round. And do the same process just over and over, and then make whatever tuning modifications we want to make on laptop, and then download it into that profiler. And it's pretty easy. Pretty easy for the most part. Like I say, if you break something, it can get hectic if you're trying to get between rounds. But we manage somehow or another.
Well, that's good. So now you ready for some fun questions before we finish this interview?
Sure.
If someone gave you $150 million and they're like, Wesley, build me a drag race track, where would you build a track, and what kind of features would you want to put into it?
To build a racetrack?
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest part about a racetrack is, especially if it's going to be something they want to operate and make sure it makes money, is that you got to remember that not everybody likes drag racing, so you got to figure out ways to get people there for that. So I think the biggest thing, you have a racetrack, and then you have to have other things there to get people to come. So I would see that they would have probably like a live amphitheater there at the racetrack, to where they could have concerts to go along with their racing in between, during the course of the day or around or whatever, would be really interesting. Or either have like you got to have something for the kids to do too when they get bored. So you need a lot of the racetracks we've gone to have paid attention to that. They've got like little playgrounds put in over in the pit area for the kids to play in and stuff. I think that's a crucial part to today. Isn't like in the 60s when everybody worked on cars. So when we were growing up, or I was growing up, my dad worked on cars, and I worked on cars with him. Well, a lot of people today, nobody turns a wrench on their car anymore. They don't change their tires. They call somebody to do everything. And I think some of that's got the downfall, or not downfall, but downturn of some of the drag racing interest in the general population. So I would say you got to make sure you keep interest on both sides and reintroduce them to drag racing as you pull them into an arena that they're familiar with or like. Also, there's a lot of musicians and concert people out there that love racing. I don't think you'd have a problem getting a combination between some type of concerts to go with racing and our car shows to go with racing. You just got to remember that not everybody likes to just drag race. So in building an establishment, I think that would be a big key to make sure you make it successful, that you have a joint venture venue with something else.
Sounds good. So do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
Work? Yeah, I like to fish a little bit, and I do a little bit of hunting. I've got some property I hunt on, my own property that I hunt on, deer hunt on. And then outside of that, pretty much racing's it,
So what kind of?
I got a ski boat, but I don't care to go fast on water. And I've got a motorcycle, and I don't really care to go fast on 2 wheels. So I will take it easy on it and ride around during the summer some, and I enjoy the boat, just the fact go hang out in the water and stay cool during the hot summer.
So what kind of fish you like to fish for?
It'd have to be bass. largemouth bass, smallmouth bass. Just I enjoy bass fishing.
Now, do you have, if you ever have time to go on vacation, do you have a favorite vacation spot?
Not particularly a favorite vacation spot. I'm not as. It's going to sound kind of. I'm not a big beach person. I'm not really. Saltwater is okay and nice, but I like freshwater. Swimming and stuff like that. I'd rather swim in freshwater. So I don't have a really favorite vacation spot when it comes to that, but I enjoy traveling and going and seeing different places. A couple years ago, I got to go to California, up into the mountains there, to go see the sequoia trees. I want to go back. I want to go to the land of the giants up there and see the giant sequoias, the redwood forest. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I have intentions of trying to go to Glacier National Forest and check it out. I think we have a lot of beautiful places in the United States that deserve seeing. So I won't make the first race, PDRA race. I have a trip to Jamaica that was already pre-scheduled, and before they had the race schedule come out that I can't change. So I'm going to be actually in Jamaica watching the race on the internet, and I guess rooting everybody on.
Hey, man, when are you going to Jamaica, man?
April the 4th.
You're going to do the little booty shaking in the blue water, man?
I'm going to do whatever I can find to do down there.
You're going to drink the margaritas, huh?
Probably be a few of those drinking, yes.
You're going to be shaking it with Shaggy, huh? Yeah, man, Shaggy.
Shaggy man.
Are you going to get the weaves, man?
I can't hear it.
Are you going to get the weaves?
Gonna get weaves in your hair?
No, I don't have long enough hair to get weaves.
Yeah.
Most of those, when I see them, I want to cut them off. And, or hold them underwater and wash them or something. They're kind of rough looking.
Now, Wesley, if you were able to do time traveling and go back in time, would you do anything differently?
No, I can't say that I would. I enjoy my life. I thank God every week and every day for the opportunities I've had. I get my businesses that I have. I get to work with my mother closely. I wish my father was still here to see some of the accomplishments I have, but I can't change. I can't change the past, and I don't know what I would change. I might like to have him around a little longer to enjoy things with me, but life's been good. There's times it's been struggles, and there's times it's been easy, and there's things that's been good about it, and things that's been bad. But when you look at it as a whole, I really enjoy what I do. I enjoy my opportunities I get. I enjoy life and try to fulfill it every day.
So does Mom support your drag racing?
Oh, definitely. She would go with me a lot if we could both leave at the same time. But we're business partners in one business, and she was my secretary in my electrical business for a long time, and we're partners in it now. And so it's kind of hard for us to both be gone at the same time. So when I'm here, she'll take some time off, and she likes to travel also, so she'll travel. And then when I get ready to go drag racing, she stays here and makes sure everything runs good. And she watches online every time I'm out somewhere. She's watching.
Are you going to Jamaica with him?
No. So what's your favorite food?
She's not going to Jamaica with him?
Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice. So.
Your wife's not going to Jamaica with you?
Homemade soup.
It's not my mother.
Oh, your mother's not going to Jamaica with you?
No. My fiance's going to Jamaica with me.
Ah. How long you guys been engaged?
Since November.
That's cool. I met Dave back in 97 when I was 16.
That's really good.
Yeah,
He's done something right.
Been with him almost 21 years.
21 years, yep.
Damn, that's a
I'm gonna be that lucky one day, and I'm gonna have a lady who tells everybody we've been together for 40 years.
Yeah, hopefully. So, what's your favorite beverage?
Water.
How about alcoholic beverage?
Margarita.
I don't drink much alcohol. I may have a glass of wine every once in a while at dinner, but outside that's it.
What kind of wine you like?
I like a Pinot Grigio and Echo Domani on it, and then I was in North Carolina this past weekend. I wish I had the bottle that I had a glass of wine up there with the dessert we had, and it was incredible. Amanda, my fiance, was telling me I looked like the guy snorting stuff all the time. I had my nose stuck off in a glass. It smelled real good. I was kind of amazed by it. But I've got to go back. She's got the list of whatever the wine was, so I'm going to go find out what it was, and I'll be able to tell somebody next time what my favorite wine is.
I like Moscato.
Yeah, her favorite's Moscato.
Moscato, yeah, that's good too.
Moscato.
So, what's your favorite music, Wesley?
Heavy metal.
I grew up on country music.
Working 9 to 5. What a way to make it.
Yeah, I would. I played the instrument through band, and I played the guitar. Some still. I have an appreciation for classical. I mean, it's really anyone that's ever played music appreciates how hard it is sometimes to make that classical music come out and sound what it does. Even though people don't want to listen to it all the time, it has a little draw to me, for that for sure. But it's my everyday listening music. I like Kid Rock. It's good. I listen to the Guard channel on XM. It's got a good mix of everything on there. But yeah, I'd say that's probably a couple of my favorites to listen to.
You like Dolly Parton?
I'm sorry?
You like Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, she was good at the time.
Jolene.
Yep.
Wait.
Yeah, she had her and Reba McEntire and Tammy Wynette and all them ladies way back then. I grew up listening to them and Charlie Pride and Pat Domino, all those guys.
This is my favorite song by Dolly Parton. Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
Yeah. 9 to 5, yeah.
Yep.
So what's been the fondest memory of your drag racing career, Wesley?
I guess one of my best memories I have is kind of funny. When I first got into running pro mods, and I had an old '68 Camaro, and I bought a used screw blower through PSI that somebody had sent back, and I bought a used clutch from somebody, and it was at an ADRL race down in Baytown, Texas. Probably the first time, and it was the first time I ever ran 399. I came through there and I learned about this a little later on, so this makes it a really good memory. I pulled through under the tower there and came in and made my pass and went 399. And at the time, I qualified third. It was number 3 qualifier, and that was pretty good accomplishment. Even way back then to qualify up in the top half. I think Jason was number 1, and I think Bubba was number 2, and then I qualified number 3, and we were nowhere near racing together back then, And I went 399, and I ran across Frankie Taylor later on, several years later, and we got to talking about it, and he said I rolled through the pits and I got an old nostalgic looking, real stock looking '68 Camaro, and he kind of chuckles. He says, "Who brought that piece of crap up here?" And I go out there and run the 399. He's like, "Holy crap!" And kind of find out the blower that I had used to be Frankie's old blower, and I bought a used clutch from Bill Doucette, and